Jesus loved to tell stories. He didn't use big, complicated words. He spoke of farmers and seeds. He talked about sheep and shepherds, lost coins, searching women. These were simple stories, stories about everyday life, but they held deep truths, truths about God and about us. Why did Jesus choose stories? Perhaps because everyone loves a good story. Stories capture our hearts. They paint pictures in our minds. Jesus knew this. He knew stories could reach people, even those who thought they knew it all, or those who felt lost. His stories were like gentle invitations. Think about a favorite childhood story, how it made you feel, how it stayed with you. Jesus' stories are like that. They are more than just tales. They are windows to understanding God. They show us His heart, His kindness, His patience, His incredible love for each one of us. These stories are called parables. A parable is like a little puzzle. It makes you think. It invites you to look closer. Jesus used them to reveal heavenly secrets. He wanted everyone to understand, to find the path to true life. And His parables still do that today. They still light up our way. Section 2. Wise Stories Unlocking Parables. Jesus was wise, so very wise. He knew people learned in different ways. Some understood through direct teaching. Others needed something more, something to spark their imagination. Parables did just that. They were earthly stories, but they had heavenly meanings, like a key unlocking a hidden door. Parables often had a twist, a surprise that made people stop and think, really think. They weren't always easy. Sometimes Jesus' friends even asked, "What does this story mean?" He wanted them to search, to dig a little deeper for the treasure. The truth was worth the effort. These stories could bypass defenses. Someone might argue with a rule, but a story slips in. It touches the heart before the head. Jesus used parables to speak to hearts, to stubborn hearts, to searching hearts, to broken hearts, to hopeful hearts. He met people where they were, with a story they could understand. So when we read these parables now, thousands of years later, we are doing what Jesus intended. We are listening to His voice. We are looking for His wisdom. These stories are His gifts to us, still fresh, still powerful, still able to change our lives, if we only take the time to listen. Section 3. The Parable of the Good Samaritan. Who is my neighbor? A man was traveling a dangerous road. Robbers attacked him, beat him. They left him half dead, lying alone on the dusty ground. Imagine his fear, his pain. Who would help him? He desperately needed a neighbor, a kind face, a gentle hand, someone to show mercy. Then a priest came by, a man of God. Surely he would help, but he saw the injured man, and he crossed to the other side. He walked right on past. Next, a Levite, also a temple helper. He too saw the suffering, and he too passed by. The wounded man's hope must have faded. But then someone else appeared, a Samaritan. Now Jews and Samaritans were enemies. They usually did not speak. They avoided each other. This Samaritan saw the man. His heart was filled with pity, not judgment, not indifference, but deep, moving compassion. What would he do? The Samaritan stopped. He knelt. He gently cleaned the man's wounds. He bandaged them with care. He lifted him onto his own animal. He took him to an inn. He stayed with him all night. The next day, he paid the innkeeper. "Take care of him," he said. "I will pay any extra cost." The biggest surprise in this story? The hero was a Samaritan, the one least expected to help. The religious leaders, they failed. They knew the law. But they missed the heart of it. Jesus was showing something powerful. Love isn't about rules or status. It's about action. Real, costly action. Jesus told this story for a reason. A scholar of the law asked him, "Who is my neighbor?" He wanted a neat definition, a checklist perhaps. But Jesus flipped the question. He asked, which of these three acted like a neighbor to the man? The answer was clear: the Samaritan. So what does this mean for us? Our neighbor isn't just someone like us, not just someone who lives nearby. Our neighbor is anyone in need, anyone God puts in our path, regardless of their background, or their beliefs, or their nationality. Love sees a person, not a label. It sees a chance to help. This parable challenges us. It asks, are we like the priest or the Levite, too busy, too afraid? Or are we like the Samaritan, willing to stop, willing to serve, willing to get our hands dirty? Jesus calls us to love with open hearts and open hands. That's the surprising wisdom of Samaria. There was a father. He had 2 sons. The younger son grew restless. He wanted his inheritance, now. It was like saying, "Dad, I wish you were dead." A shocking request, a painful one. But the father agreed. He gave the son his share. What a patient, grieving heart. He let his son choose his path. The young man left home. He traveled to a distant land. He wasted all his money living a wild, reckless life. Soon, everything was gone. A famine struck the land. He was hungry, desperate, alone. He ended up feeding pigs and longed to eat their food. He came to his senses. He remembered his father's house. Even the servants there had food to spare. He decided to go back, to admit his sin, to ask for mercy. Not as a son, but as a servant. He prepared his speech of regret. He started the long journey home, filled with shame, but also a tiny hope. But while he was still far off, his father saw him. And his father was filled with compassion. He didn't wait. He ran. He embraced his son. He kissed him. No lectures, no "I told you so," just pure, unbridled joy. The son tried his speech, but the father was already calling for a party. The party was in full swing. There was music, dancing, and celebration. The lost son was home. But someone was missing. The older brother. He was out in the fields working. He heard the noise and asked what happened. "Your brother is back," a servant said. "Your father has thrown a feast." The older brother became angry. He refused to go inside. He felt it was unfair. "I've served you all these years," he told his father. "I never disobeyed you, yet you never gave me a party. But when this son of yours comes home, the one who wasted your money, you kill the fattened calf for him." This is a hidden part of the story, a surprise for many. The father's love reached out again. "My son," he said gently, "you are always with me. Everything I have is yours." But we had to celebrate. This brother of yours was dead and now he is alive again. He was lost and is found. The older brother's story is a warning. It's about self-righteousness, about keeping score with God, about resentment that steals joy. We can be good on the outside, but have a cold heart on the inside. Jesus shows us God's grace is for everyone, the rebellious and the resentful. His love wants to heal both sons. Jesus told another story about the kingdom of heaven. He said it was like a mustard seed. A mustard seed is tiny, one of the smallest seeds of all. You could hold many in your hand. It seems insignificant, easily lost, easily overlooked. Who would expect much from it? But when this tiny seed is planted, something amazing happens. It begins to grow and grow. It doesn't stay small. It becomes a large plant, a tree even, big enough for birds to come and build their nests in its branches. From tiny beginnings, great shelter. This parable is full of hope. It tells us about faith. Our faith might feel small sometimes, like that tiny mustard seed. We might think our efforts are too little, our prayers too weak, our acts of kindness unnoticed. But Jesus says, don't be discouraged. Even small faith can do great things. Think about it in your life. A small act of forgiveness can heal a broken relationship. A quiet prayer for someone can bring unexpected strength. A kind word to a stranger can brighten a whole day. God uses small things to grow His kingdom in our hearts and in the world around us. So, these stories are not just old tales. They are not just for Sunday school. They are for right now, for Monday morning, for when you are at work or at home or facing a difficult choice. The wisdom in them is practical. It's meant to be lived. Jesus gave us these tools for life, tools to build a better way. How can we live the Good Samaritan's lesson? Look around you today. Is there someone who needs help? Maybe a coworker is struggling or a neighbor feels lonely. Don't just walk by. Stop, listen, offer what you can. It might be your time, your skill, or just a compassionate ear. Be a neighbor. Show God's love. What about the prodigal son? Remember the father's open arms. If you've wandered, come home. God's forgiveness is always there. And if someone has hurt you, can you offer grace like the father? Or maybe you feel like the older brother, resentful, critical. Ask God to soften your heart, to give you His joy in others' restoration. And the mustard seed? Don't despise small beginnings. That new habit you're trying to build, that small step of faith you're taking, keep nurturing it. Trust God with it. He can make it grow. Your quiet influence, your steady love, these are like seeds planted. They can bring shade and shelter to many. Start small. Trust big. Why do these ancient stories still speak? Why do they matter in 2025? Because human hearts haven't changed much. We still long for love, for forgiveness. We still struggle with pride, with selfishness. We still need hope. We still need guidance. Jesus knew this. His parables speak to our deepest needs across centuries, across cultures. The wisdom in these parables is from God. It's not just good advice, it's life-giving truth. When we read about the Good Samaritan, we see God's call to radical compassion. When we hear of the prodigal son, we glimpse God's incredible, pursuing grace. When we consider the mustard seed, we find courage in God's power to grow the small. These stories invite us into a relationship with Jesus Himself. He is the ultimate Good Samaritan, rescuing us when we are helpless. He is the ultimate loving Father, welcoming us home with open arms. His life was the seed of the kingdom, seemingly small, yet transforming the world. The parables point us to Him, so let these stories sink deep. Let them challenge you, comfort you. Let them change how you see God, how you see others, how you see yourself. The hidden wisdom is there, waiting to be uncovered. Jesus' parables are not just stories, they are pathways to a richer, fuller life, a life lived in His amazing grace. Always.